this is what we're going to do in our session. So there's the 5 sort of steps. I'll just send you this stuff if you need to, but I'll just sort of give you an idea of where we're heading. This first step is just we're going to have a look at this. I do this for the year when I'm doing planning with the school, and they're sort of looking at what they're trying to set up the next year. We're going to do it for term 4, so we're going to do a term overview. I want to know if there's any inquiry topic or theme that you're doing with the kids. I want to know school events. I already know a couple of things from yesterday about, Mission Week, and you've got the Year 12 liturgy, and you've got a few things like that. So it's more like for your Year 6s, like there might be a literacy focus. Sometimes like, the preps or they might have a be looking at fairy tales or something like that. That's oh wow, get out of here. We can do a term's worth of maths about fairy tale maths. It's just so good. Or they might be looking at an author like Pat Hutchins. You go, oh, we can do When the Doorbell Rang, when that's great for maths. And so knowing this is just really helps connect up your maths. Like with the Year 4s, I know you 6s, you set up the stalls for the end of Mission Week. Now I'd be just absolutely doing some of my financial literacy around that, because let's make them run it for a profit. Let's or pretend they're going to run it for a profit. But the 4s are using it for mapping, because they're going to draw up maps for the prep for the foundation kids, so they can get from the foundation classrooms to where the stalls are. So like wrap it up, give it a purpose, give it a purpose. When the more we can link up maths to the kids' own lives, the better. So I'll just double check with you guys what you got happening this term at Year 6 and see if we can link something up. If we can't, just let it go. I'm not, you don't have to link, but if there's there and it's on a plate for you, you may as well. Once I know these sorts of things, we'll go on to the formula. The formula is pretty easy. It's the number of days you've got in the term. So you guys got a 9-week 4th term.
Yep.
All right. So that's 9 lots of 5. That's 45 days. Now, we'll multiply that by 10%. That's just to cover your incursions, your excursions, and your absences because you're not well, or you've had to go off to a day's PD in Adelaide or Port Augusta or something. So that just covers those. So that's and you take out any public holidays, school camps, district sports, any events probably from over here that take a day's out of your term. And for term 4, look, already we'll have to write off the last week. It just doesn't happen. Well, you're not doing your maths program in the last week of school. You're kidding me, especially in Year 6. That ain't happening. So we just got to be fair dinkum and just take off days that would need to be taken off. Then we're just going to have a look at, okay, we've worked out the number of days. Year 6s, you won't have that many. This is just an example. You'll be down high 20s. Low 30s. I can tell you now. You won't be at in Catholic schools. I did this yesterday with Matt and Brady. In Catholic schools, I make it 15%. Innies, X's, abs. So it's to cover your incursions, your excursions, your absences, and let's have a look at step 1. I'll keep that up there. All right, so where's this? So step 1 is look, we'll just call this a term overview. What events do you have happening? What we can put around it? Have you guys done mapping yet? If you haven't done mapping, what we can do is, if you want to, like, that's just a suggestion. You shoot it down, because I'm not the one teaching grade 6. You guys are, but you can do a get me from the street you're in Port Pirie to wherever that is, the aquatic centre is, or the place that you meet in Port Augusta. And as 6s, you can just come up with a nice little rubric for this. Like to get 1 on the rubric, they have to get you out of the car park of St. Mark's and onto the main road. To get a 5 on the rubric, they have to get you to the aquatic centre. using left, right, and compass directions, using the scale, using scale, and they have to time out what time we need to leave to get to the venue by such and such a time. They can even do costs even, if you like, and to get a 5, they have to find the best coffee shop in Port Augusta, large flat white, and what does it cost? That's it. I did that one with the kids in Hobart. They had to get me to the laundromat in Salamanca Square. And they had to, the laundromat's a cafe, and they had to, with a laundromat in it, but they had to get me a flat white from the laundromat, and what did it cost? And that got them a 5. And there was there was 3 kids who got a 5. Like, they actually did the whole lot. They got me out of Margate, which is about, I don't know, 50 k's out south of Hobart. They had to get me out of the school car park and back to Hobart. A lot of kids got 3, which was they had to get me back to Hobart. And 4 was that they actually and using left right directions to get a 4 you have to use compass directions. And so it's a nice one to come up with a little rubric and share with the kids, but it's a great time to do mapping when you go somewhere. Like, yeah, and it's not like you're not making up this, you're going on the excursion to Port Augusta. How do we get there? And they're allowed to use Google Maps, but no Google directions. They are not to use Google directions, but they're allowed to look at the map. Like, kids love it. It's just a great little lesson. What else you got on? Any other events for the grade 6s that we should know about? I don't know, the hike could be something to do. If you're going on a hike, well, you don't want to get lost. So, you might, that might be an alternative to that one for the mapping thing. But okay, so you've got a year 6, we've got an excursion. What other any events you've some of this is going to come into the next part when we look at what days you lose, but you've got an orientation day, but that's all in-house because nearly all your kids are going on to the secondary school. I love the work you've put into it, that they've got to they've got to raise money. Well, they can't lose money if they've got to raise money. So whatever their product is, well, it costs 80 cents to make them, and we're selling them for $1, that sort of thing. And of course, a service is, well, if they're what were the 4s telling me yesterday? Did your kids do bloody makeup or haircuts or something? I wish I was there. It's a great day. And so the product, yeah, okay, so that's the one that really you've got to concentrate on a profit. The service is all profit. The challenges depends, obviously they're getting the Nerf guns and most of the things, the golf sticks and stuff from home or from teacher and something like that. So there may be in these 2, this is what you talk to the kids about, what are the costs here? There's a cost to the product. So we've got to factor in a profit. If there's a cost, well, then there's got to be something that recompenses the cost plus a bit more to make the profit. Whereas these 2, the costs are going to be minimal, and so the profit's higher. They're discussions kids need to be having, and you need to be having with them to understand how money works. So that mission week, that's big, and obviously we're going to hook up our financial literacy, and with that you can just about get the 4 operations going through that as well. So if you want to review the 4 operations, yeah, you got the right context there. That's big for you guys, and I reckon we should be really looking at the maths and that. Anything else that's happening in you've got plenty, I know, but any like event for the year 6s that we might hook up some maths to? A school might have their camp on, like I say, or they might have footy day, which is a great time to do data. Like that's normally in term 3. You might have had a footy day. I wouldn't have passed that over. It's just like, wow, do it. To wait for a lot of schools here leave probability to doing around the Melbourne Cup time. When I read that's a bit dodgy. You don't want to be promoting gambling. So, but I more say don't. Well, you can do that, but don't. I wouldn't. And I offer them some alternatives. But even looking at things like the maths of the Melbourne Cup, just the number of people who go, the food that's required on the day, transport to get there, the jockeys' colours and silks. The jockeys' colours are great for shape and symmetry, and so sometimes you can get something that's happening in your term and just really connect up the maths. That's what you've done here beautifully with the stalls. But I think there could be a bit of scope with the retreat and the excursion as well. Time can come into that, both of those too. Timetabling. I think you already mentioned that with the rosters, which I think that was cool. But you can certainly do that here as well. All right, it gives me a good idea what's happening in term one. I'll keep that. That's good for my focus. I love connecting up maths. I just think that's one of my enjoyable parts about the planning. So step two, that's the formula. I've already showed you guys that we're going to do you for 15%. So we've worked out 45 days times 15%. So what's that? That's 4.5 plus that again, another 2.0. Take off 7. That's close enough. So take off 7 days. You're down to 38. Wipe off the last week or more than the last week. We're obviously going to have to get something in for this concert, whether it's on the Oval or wherever it is. Yeah. Interestingly, the fours took off one. I'm just looking back at my notes. The fours took off. That's theirs there. The fours took off 1 day for the concert. They got back to 30. Yeah. Look, I don't know. This is just. You can ride off that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's just whether how much of that second last week that you ride off. But you're going to have to ride off some of it. I'm thinking, I don't know. I've taught many year sixes, and what you think is oh no, that'll be okay. No, it's not going to be okay. I used to do a rally around the world. I used to just get the kids. They could do in pairs or they could do it individually, and I just say, all right, we're doing a rally around the world, and so they were allowed to pick a vehicle or whatever they wanted, but. I go, okay, first stop, we're going to New Zealand. And I just prepare 10 questions about New Zealand. And I'd chuck in spelling things and what's an anagram of this place and, math stuff and, work out the direction. I'd do dilemmas, like you've got to make it to Wellington to catch the boat and you're on schedule just to get there in time. But you hit a dog in the country. What do you do? Do you stop to see if the dog's okay, or do you keep going? And if you stop, you're going to miss the boat, and you'll lose this many points because you got to get to the boat to go to the next leg in Argentina, and a bonus point: what color was the dog? Do your research. What color was the dog? Was out in the country that you hit it, and there was sheep around. What color was the dog? And they go, it was black and white. They've all got border collies everywhere, and like foot rot flats. It's got to be black and white. Like, come on. Anyway, so that's what I did. Side issue. This is not part of our planning, but I used to do this rally around the world. You'd have a ball, you three, just preparing the next round. It was always just 10 questions about the next country they were going to, but I'd try and make some were straightforward, like what's the unit of currency, or like you've got this many dollars from New Zealand and you have to change them into the currency in Argentina. What's the currency and what's the exchange rate? And man, it was just, and they had to pass. Yeah, like you had to get 7 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 before you're allowed to go to the next leg. So it was like a race at the same time. A little bit of amazing race rally around the world. You've got to be talking 6 or 7, I reckon here. The fours took one off for the liturgy. The fours took one off. So we know you're sort of excursions almost in your 15% because that covers innies, X's, abs, and churchies. Now, was there something else you say you had to practice for? Just so we know where the days are going. So that was last week in a bit. We've got the concert, whether that ends up inside or outside, a bit of both, but that's definitely going to go. Liturgy and rehearsal, things around that. Orientation day. Oh, sorry, there was a liturgy rehearsal in there. So I've added a day for that. Mission Gala day. So that's a day gone. You're down to 27. Anything else happening that we should take a day off for? Think about it, sixes. If there's an interrupted grade level, it's you. Somewhere around that, I thought it'd be around the 26, 27, 28 mark, actually, but just from years of we're doing this sort of stuff, but that's normally what we get to. Yeah. Looks about right. Feels about right. All right, so that's step 2 done. That's the formula. So we know how many days we've got. This is step 3. Which is just one word, one really long word, like have a good weekend. That's what are you going to do with them? You've got 27 teaching days available in all of term 4, which on paper was 45. So not quite half your days gone, but about 40%. This is why you do this. It's just all I've tried to do with these steps is just make it practical, like just get your head around it. We're teachers, you must be sick looking at that pad, although it might be better than me, but we're teachers, we're chronic over planners. It's just who we are. That's who we are. We're teachers, we over plan, like that's us. We don't have to be that way. Secondary teachers are probably worse. They are really chronic over planners, but us primary teachers, we're not far behind. And we do it for the right reasons. Don't hear that as a criticism. It's just like, it's a truth. We overplan. That is an absolute truth. But it's not like a criticism. We just try to be optimistic. I think we're overly optimistic about what we can get in for a term or for a year. And the pressure builds, especially in year 6, when you overplan in a term, because you've got a lot of content to get through in maths. And if you overplan for a term 1, and then you go, oh my God. And then you go, oh no, we'll put it into term 2. Well, term 2 doesn't magically expand to let the work in that you didn't do in term 1. And then that's going to catch you up anyway, because all of a sudden you go, oh, well, term 2 is not going to fit. Term 3, and you get stressed about your planning. The content at year 6 is quite doable. It actually is. I'm not downplaying it, but it's quite doable if you connect up your maths. I just don't think we're smart what we do. We'll do area and perimeter in one term and do 2D shape and symmetry in another. And like, well, it doesn't have area and perimeter unless it's a 2D shape. Like, why would you not just do them together? Like, it's just silly not to do them together. Any solid, any 3D shape it can't have volume and capacity unless it has a 3D shape, unless it is 3-dimensional. Like a box is 3-dimensional, so it's a cuboid or it's a rectangular prism or it's something. Why would you do those topics separately? Chance and data actually go together like a hand in a glove. So I think for 6s and 5s to a slightly lesser extent, sometimes we panic about the content and, how are we going to get through it all? Well, link it up. And if you link it up, it's actually quite doable. I wouldn't use the word comfortable, but yeah, not far off it. Seriously, because if you link it up, you go, well, that's 2 birds, the old 2 birds with 1 stone. So, and the bonus is time for you and for the kids. The bonus is they understand the maths more. The more you link up maths, the more they understand it. So that's why I'm always looking for links and just saying, hold on, now why are you doing that in that term and that one in that term? No, they go together. Do them together. Fractions, decimals, percentages, and probability go together. Fractions, decimals, percentage, any of your units in measurement go together. So that's what we might look for links here, but let's start anyway. That was a good speech, Rob. Let's move on. All right, we've got 27 days. What are we going to do with them? Here we go. Now, first, before we start, I reckon this is going to be, some topics have picked themselves. We might do mapping and we're going to definitely do financial literacy. That's a must. But because it just ties in with your stall day. But first of all, is there anything you want to bring back from any other term in the year? You're just going to hold on. We can't really let our kids go up yet because they're just still dodgy on time, or they're still dodgy on this or that. So is anything you want to bring back? And NDY, anything not done yet? So any NDYs. So that's and then we know we're going to do the money. The mapping, I'll wait to hear from you guys. We might just run out of time depending on what happens, or you might go, no, look, we've already covered that and we're doing coordinates at the moment. We're sweet. So I reckon their questions, that's a definite, and that's a definite because you're already set up to do that with the store. All right, let's start at the top. Anything for revision can do and be smart with this. There's some things that'll hook up. I can get that down to 2 or 3 lessons for you. It's just yes, that's solvable. We can do that with. I'll just remind me to send you. Get me to 1,000. Equator. I'll play Equator with you because I get to use my mini cards. Get me to 1,000 Equator, and if you start regularly doing date maths, then the brackets and the order of operations just come out in very, very natural. You don't have to do a lecture on this. Just play these games and teach through the activity, not to the activity. Just let the activity give you a context for bringing these things out. And that one you can do it. That's a warm up. So that doesn't even take you a lesson. Just have to do it a few times. And Equator, oh, they love it. Get me to 1,000. So we can, what I'm trying to do is get high impact lessons. So we don't say, oh, we're going to do 8 lessons on this. And let's make it 3 because we've only got 27 to muck around with. All right. So I can help you out there. Volume and your prisms can go together because any prism, working out the volume of a pyramid, you can do that. I don't know how, but there's a formula for it. There's a book you'll have. You just bloody Google it and you'll find out a formula for finding out the volume of a pyramid. But we can put those 2 things together so that they can construct them. You can get the kids to construct a prism or a pyramid that is to a specific volume or a specific capacity. So I think those 2 can be combined, and in the end, transformations are normally with 2D shapes, but you might be able to link those up as well. The difference between these 2, I don't know. I always find it reasonably straightforward. Just take it back to a word, a vocab thing. Anything that has capacity is anything that's capable of holding anything. Like, it comes from the word capable. If you have the capacity to be a good person, that means you're capable of being a good person. So capacity is anything that's capable of holding stuff, whether the stuff is a liquid or it's a sand or it's anything else. But that's where capacity comes from. The kids go, oh, yeah, duh. And I said, well, whereas like a brick, a house brick, a brick has volume because I can measure how much space it takes up on a table, but it doesn't have any capacity because it's already full of, I don't know, clay and stuff that goes into bricks. Like, I can't open it up and put anything in it because it's already full of stuff. It's solid. Whereas, this glass, this baby here, whoa, kinky. This glass here, it has capacity. It's because I can pour stuff into it. Whereas, I'm just grabbing stuff here, like the mouse, that doesn't. It's full. It's got bloody batteries and wires and gear in it. Like I can measure how much space it's taking up on the desk. And I think that's a good, easy working definition for it. So think house brick and think container. A tissue box. A tissue box is, it has volume because I can measure how much space it's taking up on the table, but it also has capacity because they made it to fit tissues. So then pick something else, another thing that's solid in your room, and just say, well, this thing is already full of stuff. So it's not capable of holding anything. So that's a good working definition for those 2. I hope that, I don't know if that's helped you guys and talking to your kids, or you already knew this stuff, but I'd link that capacity and volume up and set some sort of investigation. So you're minimizing your lessons that they have to design, construct, and construct a prism or a pyramid to meet a specific volume. If they wanted to make it a solid thing and use Play-Doh, because then it'd have nothing you could put in it. Or if they're going to use cardboard, you can make it to a capacity so it has to hold. You've got to make a triangular prism or a rectangular prism, and it has to be capable of holding 1,500 cubic centimeters. There's a challenge for you. That's the sort of task I'd be looking at for that. And just trying to put these two topics together. So instead of taking 5 lessons and 5 lessons, we can take 7 lessons or 5 lessons combined and save ourselves time, make it more relevant anyway. All right, let's start assigning this. Let's if you like that idea, if you want to go your separate thing, this is just me trying to work as a consultant and consulting. But if you want to go separate on this, because you know your kids in the end better than I ever will, and you want to do separate, go separate. If you think, oh yeah, Rob, you might be onto something there, let's combine these. Well, then we can combine them. Doesn't it make you think? All of a sudden, here you're going, oh yeah, we'll do 10. None this these days. Oh yeah, let's do this many. It's more like, oh, hold on, we've only got this. We need to get this to a workable number. I'll go with you. If I reckon you've got it really wrong, I'll say something. You can still ignore my advice, but I'll say if you got it wrong. But how many lessons? If you're going to combine them, it looks like that was nods all round. If you want to combine them, how many lessons do you want to give to it? Charlotte said 6, and Belinda, you were on 4. If you split that, I think you've got enough time left to do the other ones. I reckon if you did a week on combining this, I reckon I reckon you can do it. I reckon you can do it, especially if we set them a good task and a good project. So I reckon between your suggestion, Charlotte, and Belinda, I reckon you got it right. This to me this feels like 5 lessons, 4. Well, actually, you got it right. I reckon it's in the 4 to 6 range, but I don't know your kids. But any grade of 6s, I'd say prisms and volume capacity. Beautiful. We're down to 22. At any stage, if you want to put the ones you want for money and the 4 operations in, we'll take that off, or we can keep going through this. Probability, do some warm-ups. Yeah. I can send you some stuff on this that's just really. So you got ninny, you got 4 corners. There's a nice one. You don't have to make it about the Melbourne Cup at all, because it's actually not. But there's one called the Fair Racetrack that I can send you, and it's just that okay. This is the start line. This is the finish line up here, and here's 2 dice, so you can only roll 2 dice. You've got to be able to roll 2, then not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And is this a fair racetrack? Because they're all, and the kids, oh yeah, it's fair. Yeah, they're all starting together. There's a finishing line. Yeah, no problems. So you roll 2 dice, you add them up, whatever total. Okay, roll 2 dice, add up to 5. So 5 goes out to the next marker. Rolled a 7, that goes out to that marker. Rolled another 5, that goes out to here. So that's how the game goes, kids. Before we play the game, though, let's experiment. They got to do 100 rolls of 1 to 6 dice and record the data from that. And then we combine the data as a room. I just get a spreadsheet or something ready up on the board, and the kids come out, fill in their data, and we find out, well, by far, 7 got rolled the most times. Why? So they analyze the data, and then they have to design a fair racetrack, because they not me, they come to the conclusion that starting all the numbers like this, very unfair. 2 and 12, probability wise, very low on the probability scale. And you guys, it sounds like you've already done it. That's your reference point. Your probability line is 0 to 1 or a meter ruler. And this is certain, definite, a good thing, and this is no hope, impossible, can't happen, snowball's chance. And of course, this right in the middle is what it is. It's 50% yes, 50% no. That's why we call it 50-50. Maybe, might, could. And then you measure things on a probability line. And of course, because the probability line goes to 1, every mark you make on a probability line can be converted to a fraction, a decimal, or a percentage. That's why I like that those go together. All right, how many lessons you want on probability? Some of them can be warm-ups. I can send you 2 or 3 rippers. The fair racetrack takes 2 sessions, ninny again, 4 corners. Yeah, you've done well. Let's see if we'll give it 4, and if we need to take 1 away, we will. But let's go with 4 probability. You're down to 18. Nicely done, guys. So that's done. Capacity and prisms is done. That bracket's order of operations. 3 tops. Trust me on that one. I'll send you the right activity. Sorry, I know I'm interfering and I didn't ask there, but that's just one I can really help you out with, where it's just doesn't have to be boring. We can make some good gains for that one. But I'll send you that. I'll send you those 3 and a couple of others, and you can make up your mind. All right, you've got 15 done, and we've got transformations. Yes, life will go on without them, but anyway, if you really want to get them in, they can be pretty dry. Just turn your prisms around when they've made them. Oh, look at that. Can you flip them? Yeah, well, good one. So we might be able to just put that into there. I thought it when you first said it anyway, so you might even be able to put that into there. Because I'm conscious with 15 left, I reckon, how many do you want to give to this? Because those providing a service, what are you going to charge? Is it going to be per hour? Is it going to be per job? And the challenges, who's getting the golf sticks and the golf balls? What do we need to buy? And the product themselves, or who's making the muffins, or who's doing the who's creating this or that, whatever is going to be on sale if they're selling a product. Anybody got a vibe for it? I've got a bit of a sense of what I might do, but I'd rather hear it. Let that one come from you. I've already sort of gone in. A view with that too, Charlotte, is that you're probably going to work backwards. When we put this all on a term calendar, you'll need to work backwards from the stall. So it's the maths that needs to come in before the mission days, the Friday stall day. In the end, and that's that's what you're talking about, Belinda, and that's what I heard Charlotte say is which I think what is it, November 12th is your mission day, is it? Is that stall day?
Yeah.
So that's a big day. When's your excursion to Portuguesa? One of you are going to lose a day on the 20th, 21st, 22nd, right? So if it was, so this is the sort of stuff, and what's great to hear, Charlotte, that you were conscious of that. Like, okay, is this going to fit though? Because we're doing this before then, and if you're doing the mapping, and we haven't decided that yet because we haven't given the number of lessons to the financial stuff, but then you can just sort of go, okay, we can do these. We can do a couple of days here on the order of operations. We can fit the mapping in before any of us go on the excursion. If you were going to do that, like, don't let me talk you into it. I'm just using an example. And then you can go, okay, geez, we can fit in the volume and capacity and then do all of this for the money. And then we can, whatever. And you've got a chance of fitting this in just quietly. If you, I think it's looking all right, but always, I like how you're now more conscious of this sort of stuff. Like the liturgy comes in here somewhere, going to come back up here somewhere by the time you fit everything in. By the time you use your lost days and the buffer, because we forgot about this, and so everything gets pushed down a day or swapped to something else. So we'll mark some of these days as buffer, and they're your insurance policy about all the other things that happen to sixes. So good to have that buffer. But anyway, so that's where we know we're going. Let's get back to here. You got 15 days left, guys. What do you want to do with them? We've got transformations, which we reckon I reckon you could incorporate into there. You got mapping, possibly, and money. So back to it. That was 15. So you can have a little topic up your sleeve. If you want to give 10 to the financial stuff, or you want to go, oh, that is such a relief. You know, I'd love to give all 15 or give 12 to the money and keep a few for the transformations. Up to you guys, but we don't really have to. Was a question mark, and we don't really have to do it. And so, what's your vibe on how to use these and what's possibly still hanging around if you wanted to, or are you just going to go straight into the money stuff and knock them off with that? You've got a really good either maybe even with the capacity, because you can go to thousandths with capacity with decimals, and you might find another application there. But definitely with the money, like in the end, that's how kids understand stuff. So you know, it's a but start them off with that so that they nail multiplying a whole number by a decimal and how that works. You know, 4 lots of 0.25. Well, that's just 4 lots of 25 cents. In America, that's 4 quarters. That's $1. And so it's so start with that. The decimal by by a decimal and turning that around to division. Yeah, I think that's once again, use your money sort of ideas for that. It's a great application of division. It's sharing. As soon as you put that money into a sharing sort of concept, you know, you're on your way. So yeah, no, I think you got that spot on. Yep. Once again, I enjoyed that conversation. That's good. What are you going to do with your 5 you got left hanging around? I agree with this. I thought that's a really good call. To me, that always felt like 10, 12 lessons. So do you want to look at the transformations? Do you want to look at the mapping? Or was there something else when you were going over those things that Belinda was calling out? So the 5, what I can do with the 5, because it's just listening to your conversations, we can actually mark that 5 if you want to. I can scrub this out, but you can mark that as revision where Todd can go, well, my kids need this. Charlotte can go, yeah, but my big issue is that they can't read a timetable. Belinda, you might have a different thing again. So if this is just a suggestion, because I'm not the one doing the delivery of this, but if you wanted to, you could mark that as revision, and it's sort of smorgasbord for the 3 of you, what you do with your kids, or you might have a shared thing, but that's just a suggestion, or I can scrub it out and we can fit one of the other things in that you were talking about. The reason I'm smiling is you nailed it. The key to it, and we spoke about this yesterday with Brady and Matt, is the key to it is the only thing I want to see you do for a year is the yearly overview. But that's not a year predicting what you're going to do maths topics. That's just your inquiry units. When you're going on camp, do you have a footy day? When's the Mother's Day stall? Because that's when the foundation 1, 2 should be doing their money work. And what's your lit focus? That's the only year stuff you should be doing. The rest of your planning in maths should be term by term.
Yeah.
Yep, term by term. And I love that. What it stops from happening when you do this, you know, that thing about doing all your revision in term 4, something called, a lot of schools like to say, oh, term 4 is a revision term. Well, my God, that's waiting too long for some kids. You know, you mean, well, I need revision at the end of, at the start of term 2 for some of the stuff we did in term 1. And by not planning term 2 until you get to the end of term 1, you're then in charge. It's all about you guys then. And I love that. Planning should be owned by the teachers. And you own it this way. You sit down and at the end of the term 4 and you go, okay, term 1, it's got 10 weeks. It's the 50 days. Take off 15%. We've got 42 days. There's Queen's birthday. There isn't, but there's this holiday and that holiday. We've got this excursion. Right, we're down to this. And then you go, what do we want to teach? Down to 0. Oh, yeah, but we haven't. No, bad luck. You're down to 0. Oh, what about nope? Can't we do nope? Just a bit nope. Right. What about nope? A little bit of nope, because you're out of day. It just stops you dead in your tracks, like you can't overplan, like it's done. And then if you didn't, as I said, if you didn't get something in, we're going to have to take days off one of the topics, or it's got to go to term 2. And so then you sit down at the end of term 1, oh, that went well, except, oh man, we gave 10 days to place value and our kids are rubbish. We need another week. And so then you go, hey, we haven't planned term 2 yet. Let's start off with 5 days of place value. And then oh, hold on, we've got our camp. Okay, we're going to do mapping. We've got this event. Oh, let's do this then. And some topics start picking themselves from your yearly overview. And all of a sudden you go planning. Hey, this is cool. Where I can really help you as your consultant is I can help you with making the units of work, because when you've decided you want 4 lessons on probability or 10 lessons on place value, that's where I can point you at resource books, or literally I send you the activities and you decide which ones you want. Like I'll send you more than you need. You've got your own ideas. It's not that first thing you got to do is use your own good ideas and then add some of mine or some that come from resource books, and then put together the most engaging units of work that you can. So to make your planning come alive here, I'll send you some activities for this. I'll send you some activities for this, for that one. Yep. And that's up to you. But that's where you can do that individually. My email address is just there, but rvec@bigpond.com. And my website's got lots of stuff. That's but you can always email me. And so if Charlotte says, well, I'm going to do some revision on a topic that the kids had trouble with, well, you can email me. Todd, you're doing your stuff with your decimals. Belinda's doing units of measurement. You guys can email me. I'll send you ideas for this, because I want this stuff to come alive. I want quality lessons here. And so do you, because you want to engage your kids, especially in term 4, but any term, but especially in term 4 with 6s. These need to be good. And that's where I can help you. So I'll back this up. I'll back your planning up. Already I've sent the stuff to Matt and Brody. I've sent the stuff to Matt and Brody already last night. So to make their planning come alive, I reckon that should be part of my job, and I'm happy to do that. So that part will look after itself. That's going to happen, guys. You're done. I love it. I think you've done well, and I love that you didn't just jump into it. You really talked about what your priorities were. You were very thorough in looking that up and saying, look, we really don't have to do it. So beauty, that freed us up to do a bit of this and that. Your combining of some of your topics, spot on. Not over allocating. That if you play date maths a few times as a warm up and do 2 or 3 little activities like Equator that I'll send you is a cracker for getting this stuff going, and the kids go, oh yeah, we get this. No, they're all good there. So then what are you going to do with them is done. Your next step is just where do I have that calendar for you here? Your next step is just to get yourself totally planned up, is fill in your calendar. So basically it's allocating those lessons to, and some of them, as you guys were saying, like these are probably going to happen before mission day. So they pick themselves as to when you do them. You might start off the term now with the 5 days of revision, or you leave that to the end. Like this is either combined with the 3 of you agreeing, or you'll all agree on that one, or it's make them fit yourselves. And Charlotte does her own term calendar. Todd does one of his own, and Belinda, you do one of your own, or you go, no, we want to compare work, we want to do assessments at the same time, whatever, and you now agree, the 3 of you, on which ones of those are going to go where. That all of a sudden, then the November 15th and 16th, they become analysis days and they're part of our 10 days. So then we look at, okay, that means if we take out mission day, because they'll be too busy on the day, so now we go back 4 there, 2 there, and we allow 15th, 16th, all of a sudden you start filling in this calendar. It's when you put the first one in, like that big unit of work on money, and just so in each of these, that if we go, okay, this is dollars, this is our money unit, this is our money unit, This is our money unit. We're not doing it on that day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we start that on the first day of November, and that's what it looks like. And now you're on your way. Now you go, okay, well, we're going to do the order of operations here. We're going to do this here. And when you do this, because I think we're going to run out of time, and you go, hold on, this doesn't work. You've got 7 days left. It's the buffer. So you might as well even start writing in here, buffer, buffer, buffer. So it will work out because it's maths and it has to. So it's buffer. Actually, that might be a day or more then, because we've knocked off 7 days for the end of the year, and I've only knocked off 5 in red down here. But you get the idea. So that there might be another 1 or 2 days that you knock off at end of year, can't get anything done stuff, and then the buffer. But put in your buffer days, and I bet something will happen that you'll end up going into some of these buffer days. Or if you don't end up using them, use them for revision. Beautiful. Keep doing them. You've got some extra time with the kids. So yeah, and you might start. That might be revision. Or you do revision either side of the retreat. Before they go on the excursion, we'll have a couple of days of the order of operations. I don't know. You might leave that free as the week to do the investigation for the volume and capacity in your prisms. That might work out well, because you're not going to get much of a run in the rest of November. As a team, just say, okay, yeah, look, you know what Rob did with the money thing, that looks like it fits really well. Let's do this here with our volume capacity prisms investigation. Let's do this one here. Let's do this here.
Rob,
I think your main one will be revision when you decide to do that week of revision, either first week or towards after mission day. I hope I get there face to face bloody 1 year. But very nice to meet you, Todd. Charlotte, very nice to meet you. Belinda, good to see you again.